Hi, I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. I'm called the Big Game Hunter starting from my time in search, where I used to hunt down leaders and staff for organizations. Now, as a coach, notice the hat, what I do is I help people and organizations be more effective. This one is advice from John Maxwell as part of my No BS management advice. And it's really about leadership different than management. And it was an interview that Maxwell did on a podcast recently that I thought was fabulous. I haven't heard a lot of him on podcasts, and I'll go back and look again, but this is an interview that he did as part of the promotion tour for his newest book, Shiftless. I'm sorry, not Shiftless. It'll come to me in a second, but he has a new book out, Leadershift. That's the title of the book. My apologies. You can understand shiftless, leadershift. Anyway, here's a couple of the things that he said in this interview that I thought were fabulous. Now, some of it is repetitive with things that he said previously or written about previously. But again, some notes that I pulled down. The role of the leader, and you'll see me, by the way, look down. The role of the leader is to add value to his leader, to his people. And it starts off by establishing himself or herself as a friend and as a trustworthy friend. So the idea is the heartfelt connection that occurs because obviously in situations where you're trying to lead, you want to have a connection with your people. It's not about controlling their output like they're machines, but it's about building a heartfelt connection between you and they. And, as he says, managers try to keep everything the same. Leadership is about adaptability and being quick to change. And as he points out consistently in this interview about Leadershift, the idea is the first one to get started will win the race. And he tells a story about him interviewing a sprinter. And he's an older guy, and he describes himself as having the body of a doughboy, and says to her, I can beat you in a race. And she looks kind of stunned and says, well, if you give me an 80-yard head start in a 100-yard race, I think I can beat you. And they both laugh. And the idea is, these days where change happens so quickly, the first one to get started will tend to win the race. It's not the fastest person who will win, it's the one that gets started first who will tend to win. Now, this assumes you have the financials and the resources behind you, but ultimately, it's not the fastest. It's the one who gets started and the one who adapts more quickly. And he uses a story later on where he says that often when people are facing this kind of quick change, when there's an unanticipated change, they kind of freeze in place, and that causes them to lose in situations. The most important thing is adaptability in these times that he keeps pointing out. Leadership used to be more about the person who sees things, and now it's leaders see before others see. Great remark. Leaders and teams that will win are the ones who will see it fast and move quickly. As a leader, I love this one, don't get comfortable. You haven't arrived yet. Whatever you're doing, you have to be very flexible because change in our times is so quick and the need to adapt is so important. He reminds the listener, you never lose your perspective and your values. When you get blindsided by change, the first reaction is to stop and do nothing. That's the last thing you should be doing. We're in an age where the persistent, where persuasion sells and I'm sorry, this one I'm having trouble reading my own handwriting. I have to go back and listen to the interview. Um, and then he switches into a metaphor that I think is fabulous. You know, and he describes the role of the leader as the one of the conductor, the one who's able to bring out the best in his or her people, and in doing so knows that what they do is going to come back and help bring out the best in him. It used to be, how do I get my thoughts out to the people? You've got to find out where they are. Um, the first thing is to find out your vision. And once you know that, you can figure out whether you can add value to them. Oh, sorry, let me be clear about this. In interviewing, in evaluating whether to work with someone, you want to understand what their vision is. And if it coalesces and aligns well with you and your values, you have an opportunity to work together. Otherwise, try and help them get to someone else. And thus, in starting off with what their vision is, you can find out where there's synergy between those visions, and thus whether you can add value to them and thus bring value to you. Imagine yourself in a sales organization and you're trying to hire salespeople. What's your vision? And you discover that their bar is set really low, or it's just a job to them. You learn something by asking questions like this. Let's see now. Managers lead everyone in the same way. Yeah. Leaders lead everyone differently. And if you don't ask questions of your people, you're leading by assumption. So the idea is, be asking lots of questions so you know where your people are, so that in this way you know how to tailor your leadership for them, because each person's different. Again, a great interview with John Maxwell for his book Power Shift. I hope you found this helpful. If you're interested in my coaching you, reach out to me. My name is Jeff Altman, known as the Big Game Hunter. Connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. Once we're connected, message me that you're interested in coaching. We'll set up time for a free